Alrighty everyone, welcome back. It is now June 12th of 2025, and given that Meghan Markle is still in serious trouble ever since she posted that viral video on Instagram, that pregnancy video that completely backfired not just on her overall career, her so-called career, but also her entire team and many of those over at Netflix HQ that are affiliated with Meghan Markle, mind you, because they have her show on their actual platform. And, well, there's been a lot of things going on ever since, between not just CEO Greg Peters, but also CEO Ted Sarandos of Netflix. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing about Meghan Markle is that we all know, and I've said this many times, is that she is very self-absorbed, narcissistic, greedy, and to sum things all up, she is insufferable, right? That's basically the best way that you could describe her at this point. But focusing on what's been going on between Meghan, Greg, and Ted is, of course, something that I actually ballooned ever since the viral video post on Instagram. Let's get into this, shall we? Now, one thing about Meghan Markle is that, yes, we do know that she's very desperate to actually remain in the limelight, to remain in the spotlight as a so-called actress. That's exactly why she's been trying to obtain any kind of a role out there, whether it's a cameo or a short role or a very, much like a side character, anything like that she is trying to get hold of. And she's been losing multiple opportunities one after the other. The most recent one was by Paramount for Scream 7. Now, on top of that, alright, with, of course, Meghan Markle and the backlash only growing after her viral video on Instagram created major consequences for her so-called career in Hollywood. One significant development going on now involves more to do with Meghan Markle's behavior towards CEO Greg Peters. The creative investigation toward Meghan Markle recently progressed in the worst way possible for herself, coming from Netflix after they continued to move forward with their investigation as they discovered more examples of plagiarism from Meghan Markle. Now, it turns out that Netflix had concluded their investigation toward Meghan, but continued it after witnessing her viral video that she refuses to take down on social media. There's a twist to this. Producers and executives recently discovered and caught Meghan in the act that she and her team were developing an unauthorized scene, an entire scene for With Love Meghan Season 2 for the upcoming reshoots that were going to focus on Meghan's viral pregnancy video. Storyboards were produced by Meghan and her team, along with a brief script for the scene. Once producers and executives caught Meghan in the act of doing this, they decided to take their creative investigation further and discovered that, as it turns out, there were other scenes for both episodes 7 and 8 that directly copied Pamela Anderson's Cooking with Love show, where she literally stole lines of dialogue word for word. Now, on top of that, the overall angle here is that the scene created by Meghan Markle, in which she was going to recreate her pregnancy video for the Netflix series in reality TV style With Love Meghan, was actually created, of course, just before she posted the viral video on Instagram. This then progressed to a moment where CEO Greg Peters had convinced Ted Sarandos to ban Meghan Markle from specific departments within Netflix to prevent any further issues. Now, with Meghan caught in the act of creating a scene recreating the pregnancy video for With Love Meghan, along with other examples of plagiarism stripped from Pamela Anderson's show, she recently lost other privileges over at Netflix HQ as a result, and it's only getting worse from this point forward. Already, CEO Greg Peters was involved in a very intense argument with Meghan, where there was a lot of back and forth yelling in the studio during their most recent emergency call for the series as they put together a Season 2 trailer. Now, guys, let me just stop there for one moment. The fact that she has the goal to recreate the pregnancy video in a reality TV format to kind of bring some kind of comedy value or comedic value to the series With Love Meghan, I think is just absolutely insane, and it goes to show you how out of her mind she really is when it comes to developing a series, let alone developing a scene behind their back, behind the producers and the executives' backs. And what she was trying to do is basically she wanted to create the scene. It was all written, it was all storyboarded, everything was all put together when it came to pre-production. And she wanted to actually display this to Ted Sarandos to convince him to produce this scene. And upon investigation from the producers and the executives, as they have been doing this for days upon days, they actually resumed that because of what's been going on. And they're finding more elements of plagiarism, they're finding more elements of unauthorized scenes that were created by Meghan and her team for this show. Now, when I say Meghan and her team, she does have a team because she had a lot of creative power beforehand, a lot of creative control over the show around 3 weeks ago before she lost it all. And they're uncovering all these things that she did that she wasn't necessarily allowed to do, even when she held power. So what's interesting about this is the fact that Meghan Markle is truly trying to really just display her own self in the worst way possible in a show like this. Now, to make matters worse, alright, in addition to that, surprisingly, even Ted Sarandos gave the okay for Greg Peters to look further into the Meghan Markle investigation, to uncover other examples of plagiarism and other unauthorized scenes to be created for the show. This all progressed to a moment where Meghan blamed Greg Peters for discrimination and false claims, and this whole drama reportedly delayed reshoots for a short number of days for the next season. Already both Greg and Ted are having discussions about her contract expiration and or renewal. While Ted still wants to renew, Greg does not. And yes, guys, we talked about this many times. Ted Sarandos, he's a supporter of Meghan Markle. He loves Meghan Markle, but there comes a point where you really can't really walk that line so far when Meghan's doing all the wrong things in the world, one after the other, especially when you're doing something behind the executives and the producers' backs and doing unauthorized scenes when it comes to a script, when it comes to storyboarding, and getting involved in pre-production when you're not supposed to be. And it really just goes to show you that Ted Sarandos is now even beginning to cave to a certain level. Now look, he's still a supporter of Meghan Markle. That's exactly why I say he's no saint at this point over at Netflix. But we know that Greg Peters has, a good head on his shoulders. He knows exactly what's going on. He knows what he's doing. He's trying to save the image of Netflix. And Netflix really needs to improve themselves, right? They're removing content, beloved content, by the way, while raising rates. And they're going to continue to raise rates, in a couple of months from now again. And it's really not a big shocker there as to why people are ditching this platform and heading to others like HBO Max or Peacock or Amazon Prime Video, which you get automatically anyway if you have Prime. But regardless of the fact, people are leaving in droves when it comes to Netflix. And this whole series with Love Meghan, it's not helping. So the fact that she was recreating that scene, or recreating that viral video in the form of a scene, to actually display it in a reality TV format in With Love Meghan, which basically is sort of a reality TV show in a way. The way it was filmed, the way it was created, is ludicrous. It really just goes to show you that Meghan Markle will do anything that she has to do to really just insert herself into a show, right? Whether it's fictional, or whether it's playing herself, or whether it's semi-fictional, whatever it may be, that's what she always wants to do. And Greg is actually catching on. Ted is beginning to catch on more, and this is creating a very big tangle of issues right now between many executives at Netflix HQ. Overall, I would love to hear what everyone has to say about the whole Meghan Markle investigation and the whole pregnancy video that went viral on social media, a video that she refuses to take down still to this day. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.